At what stage of functionality is New York in after passing the legalization laws?
We don't really have any legalization. There's no dispensaries yet or anything like that. We're still, the dispensary. You have to be still a medical patient. I think they're still only selling vape cartridges. There's no actual plant matter or something like that. We're way behind the times, man. Way behind the times. I'm very, very happy with my street dealer. Let me put it that way.
Is home growing allowed right now?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, you can grow. I help people out with seeds a few places here in New York City. Not a lot of places to grow unless you live out in the suburbs, but I know some people who got some great outdoor gardens. Who are happy to grow. So yeah, I mean it's we're still way behind the time. We're not like Michigan or Colorado or California or anybody like that. We're way behind. New Jersey's way ahead of us. When Cuomo was governor, he said, "Look, folks, it is legal," meaning people can go to Massachusetts or Connecticut or New Jersey and they can get their pot. It's legal. So can we get with the program and legalize, seriously here, so we don't lose this money to other states? So,
Well, as Dan just mentioned, even a state that has a license program, there's still great reason for us to use an unregulated market. Here in Michigan, we have $2 billion worth of regulated sales and probably an equal or greater amount of unregulated sales.
Well,
frankly, the two coexist pretty nicely.
What's the average price for, is $200 an ounce in Michigan? Is it more than that, or is it less?
You can get ounces for much less than that.
You can really.
$131 is the 131. I think
published by the MRA. It's $131. I believe Anton's mentioning down there. Yeah. And I spend a lot of time in dispensaries now doing some work for Redemption Cannabis, and I see $100 zips all day.
Wow, wow, yeah, okay, but I can't see that happening in New York, where the voracious push for tax revenue never ends. So
do you have a local tax? Do you have a local tax?
Yeah, in New York City we have local tax. Yeah,
for cannabis.
I don't know. I'm not a medical patient here in New York. There's nothing wrong with me. Okay, I'm perfectly normal. I've never needed medical marijuana. Okay, you understand that?
Right. Okay.
I'm one of the few people who's completely normal and does not need medical marijuana. I smoke only to get high. All right, so give me a break.
Yep, Joe Sullivan mentions all the time, $50 to $75 zips, getting texts from dispensaries. So,
oh, really? Okay. Well, my dealer here in New York, I spend $200 an ounce. Okay, and I don't have a choice. I get what he has. Okay, I don't say he doesn't give me any choices. So this is what it's like in the real world here. You can grow your own. You can't buy it. You can't sell it. So this is New York, and we're still in the Stone Age.
So one of the things that happened when Michigan became legal in 2018 is that it took the hierarchy of the West Coast's legalized states and sort of brought it towards the Midwest. There were some smaller East Coast states that were legal already, but really that was the big switch. And then when we had a Midwestern thing, everybody was worried that it was going to take us a long time to develop. And we got up and running pretty quick. Now, New York has a lot more people as a state than Michigan does. And when they get up and running as quick as they can, hopefully it'll be in a positive model. But right. I expect that to be a real market disruptor, not on the East Coast, but throughout the entire nation.
Well, just remember that New York is not completely liberal. I mean, New York City, we have probably 25 million in the metropolitan area. That includes New Jersey and Connecticut. So you have 8 million in the city, okay? The rest of the state is very, very conservative in places. We may encounter the same kind of thing that they've encountered in California, where municipalities ban dispensaries. I mean, that's not, it's not a completely liberal state. We have 25 million people here. You got 10 million. We'll see what happens. It's
we have the option. We have the opt-in type local decision making. So it is banned specifically. Right. So
right. Look how many. I forget how many municipalities in California are actually do not allow dispensaries, but it's a huge number. truly is. I can see that happening in New York as well. Remember, there's a lot of tourist areas. Well, a lot of tourist areas probably embrace dispensaries, but there are a lot of very conservative areas. I mean, there's a lot of New York that went for Trump. It's not all New York City liberalism. Let's put it that way.
Here in Michigan, we have less than 200 communities that have said yes to cannabis businesses, but yet we have 1,700 municipalities available to say yes. So our $2 billion a year success is still predicated on a very small number of cities that are allowing most of the. That was nice. It was so nice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was great.
My lovely.
Jamie's dog licks his feet. It's not the same thing. I'm just going to say. But the fact is, I mean, in Michigan, we still have a lot more growth. We talked about maybe 2 billion in the regulated and possibly 2 billion plus in the unregulated. One of the ways to recruit some of that unregulated dollars into the regulated marketplace is to increase access by increasing the number of cities that have it available.
It's just so simple. I mean, the thing I know that Colorado, I think they've reduced the taxes, but when they first started in 2014, the taxes were so incredibly high for producers, for the grower, for the retailer. It was ridiculous.
35% by the time it was all done back then.
Craziness. Now I think it's calmed down a little bit, but this rush for tax revenue really corrupted the market, and it did so in California as well. I mean, the black market is very, very strong there.
They just recently started lowering some taxes too in California. Yeah.
Right. Is there any other industry that is taxed like this? I mean, is there any industry that I mean, we don't have a liquor lobby like the liquor industry does. We don't have that kind of power yet. But at some point, in order to protect ourselves, as the industry develops and evolves, we're going to need that. We're going to need that kind of lobby.
One of the tools that would have allowed us to get some special protections is if cannabis was still considered to be a medicinal product, and that we could perhaps shelter ourselves under that umbrella. But it really seems as if that dog's out of the house now. So we're really looking at people who evaluate it in more of an adult use scenario. And if there's some medical benefits, well, that's fine for a few people, but really they want to regulate it like they regulate other sin items that are available to general public.
Right.
Which, of course, I think none of us agree it actually meets that description. It's completely unique and deserves its own set of rules. And when you look at the international trade and commodities on the cannabis, it's growing every single year. And our continued reluctance to do anything federally just means we're further behind in that international market.
Absolutely. And the thing is, once again, getting back to, why are we getting this resistance on with the national media, with Fox News suddenly denigrating marijuana once again? When the industry is developing in so many states, so many people are turning to it. Why is there this conservative backlash against marijuana? Because once again, it's not coincidental. There is it's something going on. People don't plan these things. There's not an offhand remark. So I think we have to still be extremely vigilant, because this country is on the conservative pendulum is swinging their way, or the pendulum is swinging the conservative way.
Well, I think if you wanted to support a future Supreme Court decision that took away states' rights to regulate cannabis and enforce a federal stance on all 50 states, this is how you'd start that campaign. You'd start the campaign by re-demonizing cannabis, and this cannabis psychosis causing all these mass shootings. That's one of the quickest and most visceral way for you to lie about cannabis and get people to hate it.